Hey, welcome back to the Backstage Cowboys podcast. Today we're going to St-Hyacinthe, Quebec. Stand by theme music and go. Welcome to the Backstage Cowboys podcast. Today, I have the honor of speaking with the great Frank Arseneault, who is technical director at Centre Juliette Lassonde in St-Hyacinthe, Quebec. Frank, how you doing, man?
Not too bad.
I'm so happy to have you on the show.
Yeah, well, happy to be here.
I'm sure you have a shitload of anecdotes and stories to tell. I wouldn't even know where to start. I mean, you've been through a lot, right?
Yeah, well, sadly, the percentage of what's publicly tellable is quite low, but I'll do my best.
Not a problem. We don't have to censor anything here. We can say what we want and whatever. People don't like it, they'll just switch channels. That's all.
Let's do this and regret it later.
All good with me, man. So tell me, what's your job title right now? What you doing right now?
Well, right now I'm the technical director in a venue outside of Montreal where we have two separate halls. I have a 688 soft seater venue and then a multi-configurable venue that can seat or stand up to 650 people with depending on the configuration. I'm also a freelance sound engineer, so mostly monitors, but whatever the needs are.
Okay, so you're still on the road. You're still doing gigs out there.
I wouldn't describe it as road. I describe it as out of town gigs from time to time.
Okay.
On a semi non-regular basis.
All right, man. How old are you, and how long have you been in this business?
I'm right now 41, and I've been in it since I started actually playing shows when I was like 16. So,
wow.
From hauling a Marshall cabinet to hauling a PAs in a truck, I've been at it for over 20 years.
Wow, that's cool. What's your educational background?
Regular high school, and then I did some jazz guitar at college, and then some computer-assisted sound design. I say some because at some point halfway through, something else happened, and I kind of followed that like a ADHD squirrel seeing a nut somewhere. So,
great. And tell me, did you plan on doing this for a living, or did it just happen that way?
I don't think I ever planned it to become like that, but I've kind of always told myself if I wasn't on stage, I'd be next to the stage.
Yeah.
So it's semi-planned. There was some intention at the beginning, and I kind of followed that.
All right. So you started off like as a musician, actually.
Yep.
All right. And how did that turn out? I mean, did you play for a long time, or did you kind of switch to the technical world right away?
Not really. I've kind of attempted at earning a living out of it for like maybe 2-3 years. Mm-hmm. And at one point, of playing in places where the PA sucked and they didn't supply an engineer to operate it, I kind of went like, I made a quick parallel between that and a guitar app. I went like, okay, I get the basics. And I kind of half-assed it for a while. And at one point, I got a real gig as a sound guy. I had to fill in for a guy that did sound check, and then I had to take over. And it was the worst night, my worst professional night ever. And I swore I would never touch audio equipment again. I showed up, the guy went like, okay, here it is, bye. And then halfway through sound check, it was total chaos. And I went like, okay, that's it. I'm never doing that again. And then lo and behold, a couple of years later, well, Frank, I need a guy to work the sound desk. Can you do that? Like, I went like, I'd really rather not. And we're really stuck. We have no one. Okay, I'll do it, and then start from there, and then ended up here.
Did you have a mentor, or did you learn everything by yourself?
It's kind of a half and half. Mm-hmm. Just like went about it and started like everyone does, like unloading trucks and pushing cases, until at one point you meet people and you go like, oh wow, this guy really seems to know what the fuck he's doing, and then he's nice on top of it. So might as well ask him some questions, and then from that to that, and it's I did have I would say I have one mentor, but I did have a whole bunch of people that
John Young, line 71, please.
Really influenced me, and one of those is being called upon right now. Yeah.
Okay, that's cool. That's the guy in the other room, right?
Yep.
Oh, okay. Yeah, for those who don't know it, we're talking about John Young.
Yeah, who's being paged right now.
Well, yeah, we're actually going to get him on the show. I got to figure out. I mean, he says it'll be short and sweet. I can't wait to see that.
Yeah.
Tell me,
I know.
Tell me, what was the biggest challenge or struggle in your career?
Getting regular work, getting interesting regular work. There comes a point in time when you decide, okay, I'm going to stop doing this because I am not good at it, or I don't like doing it, and I want to focus on stuff that I like doing, that I'm good at. Mm-hmm. That point was, and I've never really been the usual route by which people become like at a certain point in this province, at least, whereas to either work for one of the major sound companies here, or I've always went around I never took the express route. I always took the touristic route, and So I've ended up in a place without having either worked with or for certain people, or did the whole. So I've always been kind of an outsider.
Yeah, that's always a challenge when you're aiming to do something in particular, and you do get offers for something else. Like let's say, like when I started, I wanted to operate lighting consoles, but I had a lot of calls for just loading and unloading trucks, and it's a tear up because you need the money, you want to work, but then again you
want to eat.
You want to be exposed as what you're good at, what you want to do, because if people see you loading trucks, then they'll think that's what you do, and they'll always call you just for that, and then it's hard to break out of that. Yeah, been through there.
And there was a point also where I was getting pretty good at doing backline, and that kind of brought in some steady money and one of the first like little mini tours, and then I went like, if I don't stop this right now, I will get pigeonholed in there, and then when I want to move over for audio, I may not have the respect and the attention that I will get if I stick to that.
Can you explain what backline is, just for those who don't know?
Just setting up the drums and setting up the amps and guitars and tuning guitars and changing guitars during the shows. Just the tech guy that takes care of instruments on stage only. Not really audio, just strictly the band gear.
Yeah, band gear.
Yeah.
Okay, and what is it that you like the most about your work?
The challenge, I guess. the not being sure of the outcome of a certain day.
Yeah, like get it done, whatever.
Yeah, like the get it done. I like the teamwork a lot. As much as I don't like people overall, I like being part of a team and working with a team. Okay. And that I like. I also am really motivated by the odds against the success of a certain project. I always seem to get kind of called in for these. Since I don't tour that much, I get called in for special events sometimes where it's like, you got a 70-piece orchestra and a rock band where you need to do like 10 mixes of monitors and 18 mixes of in-ears, and there's no really rehearsals, and there might not be a sound check. And there's this new desk that no one knows. Are you up for it? I'm like, yeah, I'll do it.
Yeah.
It's one of those like, if it fails, hey, it was an impossible gig from the start, and if it works, it's like, hey,
yeah, you're the hero.
Yeah, it's like, woo. Not the hero, but it's like it works. It shouldn't work, but it works.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. That just makes you sound good. It just makes you feel good. And and the thing is, I mean, sometimes when you know you're going to get it, you know you're going to make it work, but you haven't quite figured out yet how. And time is passing by, and the gig's approaching, and things aren't working. And man, that's tough. That's a real hard feeling. I mean, I've been through that.
I'd rather do that. And I've been on gigs where there's like 98% chances for it to go right, and then I get bored.
Oh, yeah,
I get really bored, and it's exactly knowing the outcome of something. Yeah, I need a challenge.
Yeah,
so I don't mind it as much for like one-offs, and okay, we need a sound guy for that, or sometimes I fill in for the audio guy at my venue because I'm my own bottom of the barrel. So when I'm out of audio
last
guys,
resort.
I'll bite the bullet. Okay, I'll do it, and that I don't mind. But sometimes it's a relatively recent venue. One of my halls, we have brand new PA that we commissioned last week. So it's never an uphill battle to do audio here. So that's why I tend to keep it at a minimum, because I know there's a good chance it's going to end up sounding good, but. Some of those gigs where the corporate events or like special events where we went, I did the 2 songs with the Invictus Games, one of the acts I tour with in Toronto, which is something like one of the princes, I don't know if it's Charles or Harry's, I apologize for the Anglophiles over there, but one of the princes, they did some kind of special Olympics for vets, which is it's a good cause, but for me, we're just like go in there, go 2 songs, and come back. Well, actually, it wasn't that much of a challenge because we were there for 2 days and we rehearsed like 8 hours for 2 songs. I've had like more times to set up those 2 songs than I have to do an entire show usually.
Well, yeah, sometimes it's just that magic moment you have to create, and it can't go wrong, right? It's like when you're doing New Year's Eve.
But the worst part is it did go wrong.
Oh.
Like, it's one of those gigs where there are like 4 stage managers. Okay, there's a production stage manager, there's a stage manager, there's like a video stage manager, and one of the guys gave the band a go when it wasn't time. So we actually started before our cue, before what was supposed to be the cue, but the guy's on stage behind a backdrop or a curtain or a video wall in that case.
Yeah.
And someone goes, start the song. So the guy started the song, and it was.
Oops.
There's only so much you can do. Like I can't see it because I'm stuck in the back somewhere.
Yeah.
I can barely see half the band, and the guys in front house, they don't know much because they don't hear it it wasn't on their comm channel. One of those. Well, we know this, but I'm not sure if anyone in the venue kind of noticed since it was muted and one guy was speaking actually in front of it. So it was kind of those like. Yeah. Yeah,
that's the thing. Sometimes major fuck-ups happen, and we're the only ones to know about it because the people in the audience, they don't even know what was supposed to happen. So they'll never notice, but like it just screws us up, you know?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like, the band comes on halfway through a verse. That's interesting.
Hey, this leads to the inevitable question. What is it that you hate the most about your work?
People.
No.
Same as in life. No, but I mean, you always get that one person or a group of person where you know from the start that it's gonna sparks will fly, but you have to like really tone it down a bit and try not to be as much of an asshole as you feel like being. Mm-hmm. And that's the people who take decisions who don't care or are not aware of the consequence of their decision, and then you get the gig of making it work.
Yeah,
it's like, and then sometimes there are gigs where it is what it is. We have to make it happen. Okay, you do it, but when it's like, well, you're at the bottom, you're at the end of a trail of bad decisions. And it comes down to you to make it work, and you go like, if I make it work, a whole bunch of incompetent people are gonna get praise as like, hey, they made it happen.
Yeah.
And if I don't, I'm going to get a beating. So it's like those situations are really, that's what I find tough. And it happens more often than I'd like it to happen, but it's not the norm. So you just press on and you wait for it to be done and you pick your check and you go for a beer. 1 or 12.
Exactly. Yeah, you get to a point where a lot of people rely on you, and their incompetence kind of fades away under your competence. Yeah, that I understand. And that's sometimes you'll find some old frustrated technicians, and the reason for that is what we just explained now. It's like what you've been through and how many people won't even bother to correct themselves. And they'll just rely on your competence until they wind up alone on a gig somewhere and prove they're assholes. But what can you do? Tell me, how has technology affected your work? I mean, when you started off, first of all, what year was it when you started mixing sound?
Oh boy, that would be 98, something like that.
98, 90. So that means digital consoles were starting to be the big thing, right?
Oof, that's a whole bag of snakes right there. I've converted to digital pretty early on. Mm-hmm. I'm one of the first guys that I know in my circle of people that I went like, okay, digital's the way to go. Let's do it now while it's developing. So I'm not one of those guys that went like, digital is crap or whatever. No, I just went, okay, I can see it going that way, so let's do it now and go head on and don't look back. I've actually one of the first guys that I remember mentioning, just give me whatever digital desk you have available.
Yeah,
in a conversation while I'm hitting a gig, like don't hunt for like a whatever legacy console everyone wants. Like, no, just give me the new thing. I'll make it work.
Well, I can totally relate to that. I've been using digital stuff. I mean, I'm not a sound man, but I've done a lot of recording in my life, and I've used digital from day one almost. And
and even if the first one didn't sound that great, they got the job done. I mean, I've never heard of someone up in the third row getting up and wanting his money back because that's a digital console. It just doesn't sound good to my ear. Give me my money back.
Yeah, that's
like
true.
I've never heard that. So at that point, I'm not ready to say that the general public is the general arbiter of good sound, but still, I don't know. I've never had a battle between analog and digital. Even being a recent vinyl record listener, as I've started back in recently.
I saw that on Facebook.
I'm not ready to say that's the way music should be enjoyed, because I think it isn't. It's a nice throwback to how things were done before, but I wouldn't want modern music to be recorded that way. Yeah. Because the technology has moved on. There's stuff that can be done now that's so much better off, and then the limits are off, and it's a constant battle of like the more possibilities you have, the more mediocre stuff you can allow. Yeah. But that's always been. I mean, whether it's for cars or music or recording or what, it's just the more technologically advanced things get, the more possibility you have, the more you allow stupid people to be more stupid. Yeah. So
tell me about your role as technical director. I mean, you're managing the whole venue, so I'm guessing that you're the one responsible for hiring people, right? All technicians and whatever.
Yeah, amongst other things, I get to advance the shows, do the schedule, do a bit of HR for the technical side of things. So I get to pick and choose who works here, which is
and what's your procedure for that? How do you find the right people to do do whatever you need to do?
I have people sending in resume which is nice.
And where did they come from?
Well, a bit everywhere, I'd say. I've people that have been that's done it before. I've stopped doing it and then want to do it again. Mm-hmm. And there's actually a school in St-Hyacinthe in this town theater production school. So I have some people coming off of there. Mm-hmm. I have some people are referred to by my crew. They go like, "Hey, you're cool. Send your resume to Frank, and I'll drop in the word for you." And that's, to me, that's what I prefer.
Reference.
I really like having people go, "Hey, if this guy or this girl, because there's a lot of them, this person sends you a resume, give them a try. I've worked with them; they're good." And it's I like the idea of forming a team and working with a team, with me not being the boss. Mm-hmm. And I try to work it more as a team leader than I try to do it as a boss, and then do. I say how it happens, and that's how it is.
Then it's teamwork.
Yeah, I'm more of an office guy here. I'm not out on stage most of the time, so I really rely on my head of departments for that, and they actually do the job. So I try to make their life easier. Like asking, okay, what do you need to be efficient and to do the work safely and efficiently, and that goes to crew also.
Have you noticed during your crew, throughout your crew, all the people you've hired over the years, have you noticed any difference in performance, whether they came out from a school, they've been educated in the area, or totally not, coming from a different background? Have you noticed, is there one better than the other, or how do you deal with that?
No, because it comes down to the individual. I've had people come out of the school and really come here and go like, "I should have your job because I went to school and I just finished last year." And I've some people come out of the same school going like, "I've learned a lot, but I've mostly learned that I don't know much, so I'm starting up." So it's like, it's really a personality issue more than it is a schooling issue, because some school, they train you to think that when you come out of there, you're like 18 and you've been at school for 2 years. You're a production manager or you're a lighting designer. It's like they don't even tell you how to lift a case, and it's not the most important thing. But when you start off in this business, first thing you do in the morning is you unload a truck, and the last thing you do at night is you reload that same truck. So that's a basic skill that needs to be done. So before you can go like, "I can design this," not like, "Listen, it's all fine, but you need to go and load the truck now," with the rest of the crew, including the designer who's unloading his truck right now. So less yapping and more unloading.
Yeah, there's one guy once who actually pulled this one out. He said he always arrived after the truck was unloaded, right? Because the guy was the light board operator, and he was better than everybody else. So he'd arrive a little late, making sure the truck was already unloaded. And his argument was, "Well, you don't see Claude Vien loading trucks." So I made a point of taking a selfie. Climbed up on a bunch of cases at the bottom of a truck, loading a truck, and I took a picture of myself and I posted it on Facebook, and I said, "Yeah, to all the newbies out there, or whoever deserves it, yep, at 50 years old, Claude Vien is still loading trucks," and that's a reality. And there's you're not going to get away with that.
No, it's sadly it's a part of the job.
Well, it's not the end of the world. I mean, there's some teamwork to it, and there's and when you actually work hands on, when you're actually doing the work yourself, plugging in the things and everything, it changes the way you see things. Like if I'm focusing the lights and I have a guy who's up there balanced on a truss, hung by a harness, and I tell him, "Okay, I need the light over here," and I see the guy's screwing around with the light and it won't budge. I said, "Is it stuck?" He says, "Yeah." I said, "Fuck it. Move on to the next one." He says, "You sure?" Yeah. "Oh, man, I'm much sure about that than having you fall off the truss." So, but I know because I've been up there. Like a lot of people who have not done it do not understand. They need the light there, and it has to be there no matter what. Well, no, not necessarily. So you got to adapt to that.
And it's a thing that comes with experience also. So for me,
Yeah.
I've told one guy who sent me his resume, he hasn't graduated school yet. And on his resume, it's written production manager or technical director. I'm sorry, you can't be a technical director unless you've lived in the trenches for a couple of years, because you need the wide shot of the whole project. And you can't have that when you haven't done any work, when you haven't worked many shows or TV sets or whatever department you're going. You can't. You don't have the reflex to think about breaks and meals. It's just something stupid that gets looked over sometimes. Yeah.
Yeah, when you're fresh out of school, you don't want that weight on your shoulders. You might not know it, but trust me, you don't want that weight on your shoulders, because when things screw up, you're finished. You're crossed out. Nobody's going to want to work with you. So you might as well, keep low profile and learn the job and make sure you know what you're doing before you take on that kind of responsibility.
Yeah, and also, like I tell some people that come through here that don't have the experience, like, you won't be good at something unless you fucked up enough. And it's true. And then
well, that is true.
You might as well fuck up when you start. Do all your fuck ups there, because when you get to a certain point, that one little fuck up can really have a bad influence on the rest of your career. Because people expect you. They don't expect you to fuck up once you get a certain level. Yeah.
Yeah, well, that's it. If you want experience, you have to fuck up a lot, and if you don't want to fuck up, you have to have experience. So it's one thing into another.
You want to hit the wall when you're not going fast.
Yeah,
exactly. At one point, over a certain speed,
good way to put it.
That wall is going to stop you for a while.
Yeah, that's right. So tell me, in closing, is there a particular advice you'd like to give to beginners in the field?
Be nice and be good. Don't be an asshole. There are plenty of those already. We don't need more. But be good at what you are. Don't project better than what you really are. But be aware of where you are in your career and your abilities, and get better. Don't stop trying to get better. All
right, man. Hey, Frank, I thank you very much. I love this. I would spend all day talking to you. You know what? I think I'll have you on the show on another episode, because I'm sure you still have a million stories to tell that we haven't heard yet.
Most probably.
All right. So this is the Backstage Cowboys podcast. Claude Vien returning you to whatever you were doing before tuning in. Special thanks to AVL Media Group and Avo Lights, who, in my opinion, make the best lighting consoles in the world. I haven't said it enough, and I will say it on every episode. You want to test drive or get free training on one of these consoles? Contact me via BackstageCowboys.com. Stand by, closing music, and go.